to showcase some of our brilliant and talented candidates for the upcoming local government, extremely popular candidates who are making waves in their constituencies, their districts, sorry. We have Mr. 𝗓𝗔𝗒, who is your UNC local government election candidate for Davis South. We have Mr. 𝗲𝚛𝗒𝗏, commonly known as Jazzy, and I think we will be calling him Jazzy for the duration of this program, who is your local government election candidate for Arima Northeast. And we have joining us a little later, we haven't seen us yet, but I assume she is out there still probably returning from one of the walkabouts, Ms. 𝗚ci𝘃'𝗁𝗏, who is your local government election candidate for Blanchishire Santa Rosa. Now, I am extremely pleased to see that we have 3 corporations represented here tonight. We have Kimraj from Penal-DB, we have Sharice, who is from the Tunapuna-Piaco, and we have Jazzy, who is from the Arima Borough Corporation. So we have a good cross-section of the country right now, and we should be able to get a good feel of what is taking place in the local government elections arena currently. I want to say a very special welcome to you all panelists. Kimraj, Kimraj, we would have interviewed Kimraj in a different forum, so I want to say he's no stranger to our team. Right, Jazzy, you're here for the first time, and we've been asking Jazzy for a long time to come onto the program because Jazzy has a lot of interesting ideas that is definitely worth sharing with the public. So welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for joining us. I know how busy things are now. It's crazy busy, but we really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. I want to say a special welcome to you, our viewers who have joined us on Zoom, Facebook, YouTube. We are being streamed across all the social media platforms tonight, so we're expecting a very large audience tonight. So thank you for joining us. Members of the media, we thank you for your continuous support. Members of the Campus Foundation, and I have to mention them week after week. I keep saying they are members that you will never see here online with us, but they work behind the scenes and they always help us in a big way to keep this program up and running. This is episode 29 for this year. So we have managed to keep up our weekly program, which is something we're very proud of. Last but not least, my 2 co-moderators tonight, our very popular PRO, Mr. Chris Hussain, and the lovely Ms. Shanta Supersad, who is the treasurer of the Campus Foundation. Just for the benefit of those who have never looked at our program, and Jazzy, well, I know this is your first time here. We have a panel discussion, which is followed by a Q&A and an open mic. We aim to end between 9 and 9:30, depending on how the Q&A and open mic goes. Right, so without further ado, I would like to pass you on to Chris, who is going to kick off our panel discussion tonight.
Well, Lisha, first of all, thank you for that intro of being very popular. I don't know, I don't know what you're hearing, but thanks for that. But I am also very much excited about tonight's program, of course, because we have representatives from 3 corporations, and Shanta and I, we tend to, I'm afraid to say this because I know years from now you can pull back the clip, but we like to hear from persons who are interested in leadership, but of course young persons interested in leadership. And when we describe young leaders, I think one of those persons I think of immediately is, well, the incumbent councillor and the candidate for Davis South, 𝗓𝗔𝗒𝗁𝗏. So Kamraj, welcome. And the first thing that I want to ask you is, why as a young person, we supposed to be liming and, enjoying our youth. And when we look at your social media, I mean, you had a short tenure so far because of the by-election, but you did so much in terms of drainage. I mean, you were on the ground during flooding. It's a number of things. Culture and the arts, you really seem to take your brand and implement it in Davis South in a very big way. So my question is, as a young person, what attracted you to the UNC?
Well, first of all, good evening, everyone. Good evening to the team, Chris, Leisha, Shanta, and of course to the other members of the Compass Foundation. I'm happy to be here. Glad that you all have given me this opportunity again to chat. Maybe I'm not sure if Leisha is really going to stop us at 9:30, but with this crew, I'm sure we're going on. To answer your question, Chris, UNC has. UNC has been a part of my life since growing up, but that didn't mean that the UNC was the born into choice. So while I came from a family that I believe, I never saw their ballot paper, but I assume they probably would have supported the UNC. My father used to be very critical about politics. He loved politics dearly, and he would follow politics religiously. And that meant follow a PNM meeting, follow a COP meeting, follow a ULF meeting, that kind of thing. So all the time has always been, be very open-minded about politics. Politics is a part of Trinidad, a part of who we are. And I think that just grew with me as I grew. And even before the whole opportunity came up to be counselor, being a part of the community was something that I was always passionate about, just whether it be a community event, a sports, relief efforts. I come from Penal-DB. Of course, it's the home of doubles and the preferred place to live and die, but it's also the home of what we call flooding. So, being out there on the ground and the impacts of what these social things does to the community as a part of well, maybe I'm saying that wrong, but there's a lot of negative effects that comes with things like that, flooding and so forth, but there's a lot of positives as well, because it now leads to a big cohesion coming out of that. Because when you're flooding and the neighbor is flooded, both of you have to come together to deal with the flood. Whether it be the two neighbors up the road will have to probably come and cook a meal and bring it for you, then it builds a community. And apart from those that's flooded, if you want to help someone and you see someone across the road helping someone and there's two guys on the other street willing to help, we all come together to go and help those persons, then we build a community again. And with that I would say the growth of what kind of pushed me into this space. Also, I'm from Penal-DB, and I could say blatantly outright that our community of Penal-DB has only seen progress under UNC-led government. And that for me made it much more easier to say, you know what, while I understand party politics and I understand that politics is a new form of war, as a friend of mine would have made that point to me some time ago. And she's very right. Politics is a new form of war because it's a war that you fight each day, just in a different forum. But I decided to fight on the side of UNC because it was the only party that created a vehicle for those persons who wanted different, those persons who needed to be accepted somehow, those persons who needed to know that they are folks too. The UNC created a vehicle for those people to have a voice, to have a vision, to have so much more than just follow what everything else was happening into the country. So for me, UNC was an easy choice. And of course, before I hand you over, I grew up listening to so many different things, but one of those things were a quote that said, "Be the change that you want to see," and that really stuck with me because I can't continue to complain and not do something about it. So I'm trying to live that philosophy of being the change that I want to see.
Very, very good. Well said, I must say. But moving on to 𝗲𝚘. 𝗲𝚘, you worked in the banking sector. You're a part-time lecturer at UWI. What made you interested in running for Arima Northeast, and, well, why the UNC?
Okay, well, firstly, when I started running with respect to teaching, some of the students, I used to spend time giving them lessons in stats and them because, statistics and maths is a big problem in UWI. They're afraid it, they cringe it, they don't like it. They find problems with it. They don't like the quantitative courses. And I give lessons and I always tell them to say, and every time I speak, I always talk about a little politics, I stick a little politics, and I talk about comparational governments and how they don't spend money on R&D and they neglect the university partnering to do better things. And then I met Flora, and Flora asked me, interested in coming as a part-time doctor. So I spoke to my family, and then I went home and I read the UNC Constitution, and the third line, they talk about knowledge economy management, and that kind of strike a ball, because when I read in PNM Manifesto, I read the Constitution, knowledge management is a serious issue, because knowledge management allows you to move from taking human capital development to design and build to be diversified economy. Because if you have knowledge on human knowledge economy, you drive the economy based on human capital development, right? And that is what really struck me. And then when I watch the performance, right? Now you can define fact as statements that where there is based by evidence, right? And in 2010, 2015, what the UNC did, 106 schools, they built schools. The laptop issue was real good. I thought they were going to code in all type of knowledge management system and evidence-based decision making and those things. And I asked myself, oh, wait now. But I joined the UNC and come and run with UNC ticket, because I mean the party in 2010, 2015 did well. They actually had turned out. When I look at the GDP for 2010, 2015, the honorable leader, there was high growth, resource was really good, people are quality of life. In fact, when I walk in my Burgesses now, as I see that people speak about 2010 and 15, but more than that, I found that the leadership itself, under the under the political leader, she had a vision for our country, and that is what I want to say. You have a vision and you're working towards that vision, and that is what attracted me to join the party.
I would God every day. My time at UWI, I didn't have to do stats. If you all don't know, that is such a high failure rate.
No, it's a high failure rate, because what happens is that it's a course that does not require a lot. It's not like a maths that you come from, whereby you do this �y'C past paper and then you write and you go by some teacher and some shed and he give you all the multiple choice, and it needs a mature mind. It needs a logical thinking mind. Now that is the problem.
So that is also
you mentioned
you
mentioned something that while lecturing and whatnot, you would try to throw in the politics and whatnot. But when doing that, how been from young persons at the university,
right, young people. Now we have to understand the stratification of young people, because a young person who in university, his level of understanding accountability will be stronger than a person who just came out of school or who just finished O-level. So at university level, it is much easier to deal with the students, because their capacity to understand and reason will be a lot easier than a person who will have finished O-levels and not pursuing tertiary level education, because they'll be exposed to different teachings. Now, with the young people in UWI, they tend to, like any young person, they focus on school. And they don't understand that political policy, framework, and politics impact their lives. So there's always said that the young people, they don't take part in politics, but I think the politics they see, they're not interested, right? They're not seeing a politics that giving them a voice, right? They're not seeing the politics, and the party politics model to me is not attracting them per se. And I think the UNC will have to be able to attract the young people. And I started to say, look, I started to speak to them and say, look, let me tell you something. Now, you have to be very careful when you're speaking in UWI about politics, because I will ask them, look, you're getting scholarships. You used to get 600 scholarships, then we gain 4 year geek coverage and those things. And I ask them, what do you think that political thing? Now, you have to do something called this means and assets, which is a control way of controlling the paperwork and the cost. But I say, look at what happened. When the UNC was there, get people access to education. You're talking about master's degree, people have 50% down payment, now it's gone. And while you're looking at course and thing, I ask the young people and them, do you think that's right? Because we can talk master's degree, but the problem is that, and I'll be frank here, is that while GATE allowed many people to enter tertiary level education, we supplied labor and we didn't have buyers of the labor. So for example, we have people graduating with 20 degrees, masters, and those things in different fields, engineering, management, especially social sciences, a big graduation and all the graduation ceremonies. But these students come out and now they can't get jobs. Now, the problem with that is that when students come out of the school, their monk is that there's an excess supply of labor, but they've got no buyers of the labor. So if you are planting watermelon and you're supplying watermelon to the market, and nobody buying your watermelon, what do you think will go down in price, Shanta? The price will fall because of excess supply. So what happened with the students now? They have excess supply of labor and there were no buyers of the labor. And the buyers of the labor is creating employment to buy the labor. And there were not many companies ready to hire all these students with the degrees. So you had this big rush of students, like picture like in a 10-way highway degrees, and you're trying to get in a job market, there's only one lane. So that is one thing they said. And so they have done now what I think the government of the present administration under the Rowley led does not looking for. They need to bring in investment for companies that set up investment in Trinidad and Tobago, because as it is now, but companies only come in Trinidad and Tobago if they see an economy that is doing well, it is buoyant, high GDP, a very low crime rate, ICT infrastructure is important. So those are the things that attract countries to come. But if you have a government saying no here right now and they doing nothing, all it is get is asset rambling on a platform, or you expect the young people to be interested. Okay? You need to understand that. But as I say, it's a fight, because it will always be a fight to get young people to come into the politics. And I try by telling them, how do we come into the politics? Because it impacts their lives. Politics impact your lives. It impacts your jobs. It impacts your future. It impacts what you do. So if you don't get on board with the politics, and you say, hey, I'm not taking part in the politics, what will happen? Well, I don't know what to tell you again. I always say they're calling about a job. So I leave them with that. But most of them, they have a long way to go, because the politics is not attractive to them. And I intend to make the politics attractive to them by organizing how do I get them to come. And as I said, that's I just say you ask about the plans later. I have for them, and I'll discuss the plans later when you ask me.
Kamraj,
Okay.
I wanna ask you a question, because of course you served for your time so far, and of course you was reselected to be the candidate for Debe South. When it comes to young persons and their involvement in politics, where do you stand with that? What is the response that you have gotten from young persons within your electoral district? How do they feel about politics? Do they really feel, disgruntled? Sometimes I think us as young persons are only used for window dressing. I'll be honest.
You're very honest by saying that, because I used to feel like that as well. I would say a few years back. I mean, I've been a part of the UNC party for a few years as well. And sometimes I always felt like, okay, yeah, you're a part of a youth or you're a part of this group, but it was probably there for more of a, just having it. And I think a lot of youths feel like that because they just feel like, okay, maybe it's just for show to say, okay, you have this or you have that. But if you take a moment and you sit back and you realize, okay, yes, you may see it this way, but if you also internalize that, this is more than just that. This is an opportunity. And from the minute that you start acting on it, then the elders, and I'm going to, just put it off in that way, or the senior ones, they look at you and they look at you with, hey, that young man has something, or that young lady has a bright future, or something that sparks, and then you'll realize that the senior one starts, pushing you a little bit extra, giving you a little bit more, maybe some advice, some opportunities for you to keep proving yourselves. And I think young people today, and I'm probably going to get a little bit bashed for this, but we as young people sometimes look for the easy way out. And I think after a while, we'll tend to realize that, you know what, it doesn't have an easy way out. Sometimes we look at persons and say, well, he bread butter, or, she gets through because she know that one, or this kind of thing. But many times we don't know the struggles that these people go through. I mean, I can speak for myself. I came from a very poor family. I came from very humble beginnings. And many people would look at me now and be like, well, you have no idea what we're going through, because the way you probably look, or maybe because I cut my hair or something of that sort. Yeah, he reached. But everyone has a story, and everyone has a story that pushes them to do more and to do better. and do better, not just for yourself, but more for your community and more for your country. And when you start taking yourself out of the equation and start doing for doing, I'm a part of this group, 𝗧𝗨𝗘𝗦𝗃𝗧, and they do 𝗧𝗨 on a broad basis just for doing that essence of doing. Not for any reward, not for any return, but their entire organization is just for doing. Whether it be giving a pint of blood or helping with a donation somewhere, they just do it for doing it. And then you realize, you know what, maybe life is just a little bit more than just us. And the world probably doesn't just circulate around us, but there's so much more. I think maybe young persons, sometimes we take a longer time to get to that space. No fault of ours, I think, because I'm not taking any thing less. But as youths, sometimes we think of ourselves as not much, but if you just go the extra mile, it really pushes you. And I'm an testament to that. I think that I wasn't, while I would have screamed for the seat and all of that, the party would have seen, okay, well, this guy has been on the ground, he's been around, he knows the community and that kind of thing. And for that reason, that's the reason why I'm assuming that's the reason why they gave me the opportunity. And from the moment of being given that opportunity, I knew this was my chance to shine. Not just shine in a particular way for myself, but I got the opportunity now to do a little bit more for the community. Because there's many things that I would speak of on my social media platform or even the communities. These are not new things to me. These are not things that I went and found out last night. Because I'm part of the community, I know the issues, but I have a voice now. I have a voice to speak out. And not just talking wholesale, but because I speak on the tone of being the counselor for the area, people listen and the message gets to go a little bit further. So I'm really appreciative of that opportunity. I will continue to speak out as much as I can, and I think that has done quite good for our community, because for this time around, the election campaign, we have so much youths.
Really?
I know you would be surprised. I am surprised with the campaign with myself and Nicholas as well. I know you all are very familiar with Nicholas. The amount of youths that came to start to kick off our campaign, these are young people, some of them 18, some of them they can't even vote yet, 16, just out of school, that kind of thing. But they have now seen, okay, you know what, these guys are doing something, and they have jumped on that wagon, and they want to go, they want to do this, they want to do that. Sometimes I am so drained, but they already waiting on the corner wherever we have to meet to do this walkabout. So they pumped and ready to go. Yeah, it's been a fantastic turnaround. I think youths are seeing that UNC is the party of choice, because it's quite obvious. Our political leader has given youth so many opportunities. Yourself, Chris, myself, so much others. If you look at the sphere of the councillor candidates are going up, more than 50% of us are considered youths, under 35.
Yeah.
So we have gotten that opportunity, and I think all of us who have gotten that opportunity is really, really thankful for it. And we're not going to just let it pass by. We're going to keep pushing.
If I could just interject for
yeah,
one
sure.
minute, right? I really, really love this type of open, honest conversations of substance, which is what our objective was, right? And I think we are meeting that objective. But I want to really say a special good night to everyone who is logged on live, and we have over 200 viewers with us live across the social media platforms.
Wow.
So everybody, welcome to all who join us every week. I'm seeing quite a few familiar names here, faces, Calvin George, Dr. Augustus, Karina, Barbara, I am seeing Curtis, Gary. So we have the regular team here tonight, people who join us regardless of what the conversation is, who the panelists are, they are regular following, and we are very, very grateful. Also, Mr. William Archie, who's helping us with the streaming tonight. Thank you so much, Mr. Archie. And I do want to mention MP 𝗲𝗛𝗒 𝗒𝗒 Chairman of the UNC, who is with us as well tonight. So welcome, Chairman Tank, Tanku, it's a pleasure to have you with us. He's a big supporter of the program, and we appreciate his presence very much. Okay, guys.
Of course, a big shout out to MP Tanku as well. He's one of those who I get to work with very closely. Most of my district falls under his constituency, and he has allowed me to grow so much. I mean, when I've now started, I said, MP, I want to do this, I want to do that, little things. Maybe even if it was just a little video. And then the first time he went, maybe the second time he went, and then he has allowed me to fly, and I'm really appreciative of that opportunity that he has given to me as well.
I want to share in your compliment, because even with myself, just recently, so Shanta and I, we have a number of group chats with youth parliamentarians, regional youth parliamentarians, and there's a conversation happening about youth engagement in politics. And one of the persons, of course, it's a democracy and you're allowed to support whichever party that, for whatever reasons you have. And so we engage in our conversations with yellow and red and who better and what making sense, what not making sense. And the conversation that we were engaging in were along the lines that the PNM is engaging young persons, and they have always engaged young persons, and now young people have a position at the decision table. And I'm like, no. Yes, we could agree there's an engagement, but there's a manner, the type of engagement, and the audience in which they try to capture in an election. And it's very clear and it's very deliberate in their messaging and music. And what I've noticed with the UNC, and you're absolutely right, because when we look at the members of parliament, like MP Anita Haynes, I mean, very young, but very great at the job in terms of advocacy. Any debate that I've seen have been fielded in, she has, in my view, mash it up. Similarly, you have MP Saddam Hussein, who not only as
firebrand now.
on the ground, you have MP Mohit. And even now we're looking in the Senate, we see another young senator coming up here, Senator 𝗲𝗛𝗒, who in 2020 took us by storm, the engagement, the sort of traction. And what we're really seeing is not just young persons are being welcomed within the UNC, but they're given an opportunity to, like yourself with MP Tanku, be yourself, embrace that and lead in whatever style that is. Interestingly, the style is working because it is attracting persons who may not have really been interested in UNC PNM politics, because we're seeing a younger, fresher style of politics, a conversation that we can relate to. Again, Shanta and I, you would recall in 2019 when we discussed that Senate bench, and we were like, these people talking a language we could understand, right? So I want to shift to 𝗲𝗓 here now. Of course, educator. Now you're going up in a interesting seat. What has been the response so far on the ground in this campaign from your burgesses?
Especially when you're in the PNM.
Pardon?
Especially when you're in the belly of the PNM.
Correct. Exactly. It's like unlike your side in the Penal on the south side, we are in the east, and Arima Northeast is where Penny office is. My area, Shanta, came with BSC where we had a fight in the belly of the beast. And I walked the ground. My model was walking, shaking hands, skin to skin, and the Buddhists is really fed up. They're really fed up and they want that change. But yet, as you say, is the belly of the beast, and we have to fight is a really, really fight. I'm not gonna say and try to say no, we're making headway. Is a real tough fight, because out of these 7 districts in Arima Northeast is mine, and I'm really working hard. People are coming on to me. In fact, they are calling me and telling me, look, 𝗲𝗓, you're going well. I walk every day. I walk all my pizza about 3-4 times already. I go in all them hole. Sometimes like yesterday, I walk Matarita, and when I walk down Matarita, I saw this old lady. She put on a PNM jersey, Penelope Beckles, and she come out to she little poya and she saying, well, go from here. What are you doing? I say, okay, Mom, I hear you. I give her time. I say, so, Mom, if something was happened to you, right, that's your important penny, and you get second thing, if you go to hospital, how long you take to stay in the hospital? She answered me. I said, if Penny gets sick, And you think Penny going to that same hospital you going? She get quiet. I said, thank you. So the point I'm trying to make is that we will make inroads into there. I'm making the inroads small as possible. And I'm getting there. I'm getting the pushback. As you say, I'm the belly of the beast in Arima. But strange enough, in my district, the candidate there is also sheltered by Penny. So she works as a female. She works with my combination. She works with Penny. I saw Kazim. I saw the mayor and all the councillors there. Janika, the former councillor incumbents, and them, they work with us. So basically, and when I see that, and I actually see Penny working with them in the strongest role, because this is where Penny office is situated. I ask myself, but wait now, this is supposed to be a PNM stronghold, and I is just a little Jazzy walking the road there, you know what I mean? My little eyes, little David walking, and why Penny have all these people around her, and she's strong, and she's really using her voice to speak for the party. But as I said, I'm not giving up. I'm fighting, but on the ground, I'm getting retribution. But somehow I think there's a lean towards the UNC, because people really fed up with the PNM and Arima, especially when they control the corporation for the last 10 years. So the last 3 elections in locals, and it's only when Fitch came into it, what was 7070, and what did they do? If you drive through Arima, Shanta, and as you know, every road bad in Arima, the velodrome for long. In fact, I want to ask the Mayor Penny, how long will it take to renovate the borough office? 3 years now that borough office has been renovated and nobody says anything. All right. The bill at number 14 TNT signed only 7 night for long. Nobody accounting for it. So the Burgesses are fed up because they are getting promises and they are not getting representation in my electoral district and in Arima. They are not getting, and they are really fed up. In fact, when Mr. Warner and I walked through Sunday, they left him up by the drag, and we were by the dial. When last you saw the UNC candidates, I have 5, they call us the Fantastic 5. When last have you seen 5 candidates from Arima has created that buzz in Arima with respect to UNC presence? We are making headway, right? I'm making it in my district, and our Fantastic 5 candidates, they are also making headway, and we're working together to take the Arima Borough Corporation home. That is our aim, to take that Arima Borough Corporation from the PNM and let a UNC Borough Corporation come there and show people what is real representation in Arima. That is what I intend to do.
But Jazzy, I want to ask you, because you know that you make a very strong point, you know, and it's so interesting that you're saying that the member of parliament, which Arima supposed to be safe PNM, so you know, yeah, we could agree on that, and she has to walk in these areas. Is it that because the PNM is just very unpopular right now? I mean, we on the campus interact weekly with persons who comment who are not UNC supporters, by the way, some of them. And they are saying that this is the weakest version of the PNM ever. I mean, we have the Police Service Commission's scandal, President's House, Property Tax, Miami Court, Privy Council, THA, by-elections, and in terms of what happened. There was a time, I think it was 2020, that by-election, the former mayor who became the MP lost, that particular seat was lost. Of course, that person has crossed the floor. But do you think it's just that they're very unpopular and weak at this point? And
they are very unpopular because I think they have been complacent with the Buddhists. As you say, they think that, hey, these PNM and PNM till are there and they just struggle and they're not going to lose. But this time around, I think they kind of frightened, because when you see, as you say, Penny and them putting billboards, they're treating this like a general election in Arima, you know. They treat it like a general election, and we are seeing that the changes are made. And Penny and herself, what she does is that they are losing their membership because they hold on to these upper middle income people, whereby who stay with the PNM thing. That is her support. She's not getting a young base. She's trying to get a young base, but she's not getting a young, because the young people, as you said, they don't want to hear that politics again. They don't want no Penny on the job and hashtag making Polori and you're making a tractor. They don't want that. They don't want that. All right? They don't pay hashtag Penny on the job and they want to move Satan, let me pass. People don't want to hear that again. People want to fix.
You know, you're right, because even in San Fernando, I think, was it yesterday? I saw a flyer with Marcus Gadari and the MP for San Fernando East, and they're having some joint meeting. I remembered last year for TNT Speaks, Marcus Gadari saying that he's coming for Brian Manning's seat. So it's a joke. It's jokey at this point. It's like, oh, for real, that kind of politics. I want to shift to you, 𝗓𝗏𝗔. What has been the response from DB South? Of course, you know, persons, when we hear about DB Penal or even Shogunas, we say, all right, well, that's UNC safe. They love them. That is the base. What is the response though from DB South so far?
So we have had I'm going to say mixed response, but it's not a mix in that what you would think. People of Penal DB is ready for a general election. And that's just what it is. I mean, 𝗲𝚘 said it rightly. The PNM is fighting this election as a general election because he has gone into the belly of the beast and made that belly very uncomfortable, that they will probably have to puke just now. And you know, most of our UNC candidates are doing just that. They are really putting some fire under the PNM, and it just goes to show how much fight that the UNC has. We have that fight and we're ready to take it all the way. My walkabout has been, for the most part, has been good for me in terms of, I mean, the short time I've been there, I think I would have made 15 months. But the presence on the ground has been good, so I've got good reception. But everybody's singing the same tune. While this election is important, they are ready for change and they are ready to vote the PNM out of office. And if they can, no offense to any of the local government candidates, but if they can change Monday 14th to be a general elections, I think everyone is prepared to make that choice at that point in time. And that's the word on the ground. The word on the ground is that, yes, you all are here. We will support you all, but we are ready. We are ready for the big guns to be traded. We are ready to get them out of office. And I mean, anyway you turn, you rightly said that this is probably the weakest PNM that we have seen, but it's the the most corrupted PNM as well. I mean, when we thought Calder Heart and church and going up, and all of that was something. I mean, looking at that now, that's a drop in the bucket compared to the conspiracies that this man has been doing. I mean, one, you have this whole with the Integrity Commission and your house. At least Manning was trying to build a church. This man just taking a house for himself, you know. But it's so much more. The whole 𝗲𝚑𝚑 situation, the police service. It's so much. We are getting to a place of lawlessness now that they have taken away ethics from Trinidad and replace it, I'm going to say this very openly, with a 𝗏𝗏. And it has caused the downfall of our people, of our country. And you said it so rightly, 𝗲𝚘 said it, everyone is saying it. It's not what the people of today are voting for. We are no longer interested in that Ramanoti politics. We are not interested in that job. We are not interested in, all right, well, I come in for Brian Manning, see this week and next week, me and Brian Manning drinking beers together. Yeah. No, we're not interested in that type of politics anymore. People want people who are willing to work, people who are willing to put service above self. And I mean, it's a plain fact. Only the UNC offers that. PNM has never even tried to cover up to show that they offer that. But the UNC is a living embodiment of that service above self.
You know, when you mention that style of politics, when I look back as a child growing up, it really went from leaders of the PNM, from statesman style, and it has really gone down over the years. But what's happening? Go ahead, Alicia.
I mean, we always look up to these people. I mean, in the fight of Manning and Pandey, it was always while they always at war, there was also some level of decorum. And we have none anymore. There's no respect. I mean, the way that the Prime Minister speaks of the opposition leader and women on the whole, I mean, this cannot be what we have to offer. This cannot be the person that we choose to represent Trinidad and Tobago. We're an amazing nation. We have too much to offer to the world than this person who comes across so what else do I want to say? Yes.
No, I just want to say one thing before you come in, Lisha. That, you know, when we discuss the Manning Pandey fight, always very classy. But I would also say that even though 2010 that period was vote for change, axe the tax, and was really Kamala mania, right? But I also think Kamala to Manning, there was still a classy fight. It was still a very classy campaign compared to what we see now with the Prime Minister. And it's quite unfortunate. And I remember in one of Senator 𝗲𝗛𝗒𝗧𝗧's contributions, she said that if you have a lawless government, wouldn't be surprised if you have a lawless society, right? Lisha?
I just said it perfectly.
Yes, so if I may, I gave way, right?
Let's see it over time.
Hear about this commitment to uplifting the standard of our politics. That is something that is very much needed. So a question now, right? People are asking, what are the proposals that the UNC is offering in terms of local government? I was wondering if either one of you, 𝗲𝚘𝗒 or 𝗓𝗏𝗏, could speak a little bit about our Secure TNT campaign.
Okay, well, you want to go first, me or 𝗓𝗏𝗏? Okay, 𝗓𝗏𝗏 will go first, right?
No problem.
Okay, cool. Well, the Secure TNT campaign, as you know, the UNC, we are promoting the community that is starting community patrols, the municipal police are putting more boots on the ground, because I find that is a good point, because as it is, the municipal police only are seen as market police. They are reduced called market, no disrespect, but they do much more than that. They are being paid by the taxpayers, because they can patrol schools. So exactly, they can actually extend the work limit, because they are not only, as the term say, only market police. They can actually go and mentor people in schools, patrol the schools, and they can secure schools, securing your homes. I know the stand your ground law that the honorable leader is promoting and thing, which is very well. The stand your ground law is important, because I try to understand. If you home in your house sleeping with your family and somebody enter your house to rape you, kidnap you, and thing, what do you do when they come in? You know, and let me say you have a fire, and I know the leader is being bashed for that, but the empty the clip and all this thing. But I mean, in real life reality, somebody comes in your house, you have a license fire. What do we do with fire? What you will do, the first instance as a human being, you will take your firearm and fire back at the intruder. That is correct, you know, and I find people have taken it out of context for political gain. That is how I see it. Because the reality is that if you don't have a cutlass, you pull a cutlass, if you don't have a gun, you try to protect yourself. And in protecting yourself, because nobody gonna come in your house and say, but wait now, let me see your party card. PNM, UNC, no, I wouldn't rob you today. These people are intent on doing wrong. They are designed to do wrong, because we have a breakdown in our school system. We have a breakdown in the moral fabric. We have a breakdown in education, economic development. All these breakdowns is causing problems in society. So what you want people to do? People not getting jobs nowhere. So, I mean, just stand your ground law. I believe that is very well. And I find that the leader was right in what she was saying. So people might get to me. I know when I get involved in the conversation that blaming other people and blaming my political leader for that, because if I own my house and I have a gun, anybody come to kill me, I shoot them first. That's just how it is. That's human nature. So I'm not going to get involved in that, right? And you were talking about securing the streets with street lights and those things. I know in 2010, 2015, you was driving up the highway, there was street lights. Everything was working fine, you know, and I don't know why.
Could I interject for a minute? I just want to interject just for 1 second. I cannot believe in 2023, after all our oil booms, different administrations, our conversation in elections, it's about street light. I can't believe it. Like, I'm already lost for words that this is.
Yes, more than that. I'm glad you make that point, Chris, because that I personally find our parliament should never be discussing road, water, bridges, street light. We in 2023, I want my political leaders to talk about satellite in space, so treat people in the areas to get internet. I want my leaders to talk about sustainable development, where the 90,000 homes that the 𝗟𝚗 said are people under the 400 watt. You put sustainable homes and put the solar panels to them. In fact, they were given grants to do that. By act of parliament, they were given 2 million euros to do that. It wasn't done. So this is what I want to speak. I want to speak is that you see me flooding every year. I don't want people calling and bawling. One is one side in power. We talk about it. We need to partner with the university and come together and say, let us find a way to build a dam of the Caroni River and fix the problem and put party politics aside, because it's for the benefit of Trinidad and Tobago. Otherwise, if you don't think that way, as you say, Chris, I talk about science competitions in school, maths competition. We need to start thinking like a developed nation and stop studying, talking about water in our national parliament. That is no place. Correct. I agree with you. And I thought, I'm glad you said, because I never know. I thought I was the only one in the wilderness making that joke. We should never be talking about those things in our parliament street. That is the local government. That should never reach in our parliament. When you see Biden and them talking at in the parliament.
You don't see that on the No.
You know, I agree with you. So that is just, I'm glad you make that point. And when do we reach a stage where we will start to put things in place to start to talk about knowledge economy status? Where do we make a play where we start to look? India has changed their education system as of 2020. All right. We have this, what beside our revenue of oil and things. Look, I want to go further, but we spend about 50% of our budget goes to social transfers, right? So in other words, CPF program, Make Life program. So when you get $1, 53% goes to that. So the rest goes to our ministry. Oh, and when the ministry are paid now to run operational excellence, where do we have money for R&D? In fact, in the World WIPO, the World Internet Property Organization, you know which one rank Chris in innovation?
No, tell us.
We rank 102 in innovation, out of 130 countries. That which one is ranked? And you can go and see for yourself.
That's a sad thing.
You understand, Lisa? That is, we rank 102 out of 130 for all the talk we speak about digitization ministry that this Prime Minister is speaking about. They don't go on a platform and talk that, you know, but I will challenge you on a platform to talk that because they know, right? In fact, in the last 10, 15 years, you know how much patents we have approved? 4. And that is non-residents. So where are we going? We cannot have an education system where we turn out degrees after degrees after degrees, Chris, and nothing is happening.
Nothing happening. Absolutely
right?
nothing.
And so
I want to comment on the stand your ground thing, because you know the whole thing went viral on TikTok and social media. But you know, I saw a lot of comments in support of it in person saying this is a natural, normal, common sense thing to do. And I listened to to Kamala last night, and Kamala said that it's not every man jack gets a gun, you know. That's not how it will be. There's going to be a process, it's a procedure. And when you listen to Keith speak, I think he spoke last week, if my memory serves me right, and he said everybody go have a gun, and something to the effect of that. I'm paraphrasing, but that's not what. So I don't know if that is deliberate or he didn't. I don't think that's
deliberate for sure.
I think it's deliberate.
This Prime Minister, he's still talking 19 Woodford Square politics. He's still living in 19.
Yeah, it's sad. It's what we reduced to discuss.
He's operating a Woodford Square model. Look, in fact, in Arima, I saw all over the country in Arima that they have traffic jam paving road now. They're patching all over the place. And we in 2023, according to you. And that is the behavior. So my Prime Minister Trinidad and Tobago, Keith Rowley, if for 8 years you have not done anything, any Prime Minister who wants to win and stay in power, they will always boast of what policy framework they have implemented that come to fruition right now, be it short term, medium, or long term. He has none, so you speak anything. So he is just ramble, and for all the political charade and all the hashtag 2020, all the introduction from all these people who claps him, and when he does his settle, Chris, you have done nothing. You have said nothing. You have done nothing.
Maybe this is why we see a low vote turnout.
In fact, you are modern day Caligula. you are modern day Caligula, which is a Roman emperor. He used to actually put the horse in parliament and thing and give it that title. That is what he is to me. And I fed up at, in fact, I don't even talk too much and thing because it don't make sense.
All right, guys, I'm just doing a quick time check. It's 8:51. So, good time here. I can't believe it. You know, I mean, 𝗓𝗏 set us up.
I told you.
But Lisha, before we proceed to the next stage, I want to find from 𝗓𝗏 his views as well on the same question.
Yeah. So a few things I wanted to touch on. The first one about Dr. Sami spoke on the platform last night, and he spoke about the PNM saying, you know, you can't have stand your ground and you need to have moderate force. And he made such he made such a point that I think people would let it slide. Just imagine you are being robbed and you stop the person from robbing you. They're holding a gun to your head. Excuse me, sir, are you robbing me because you need food on your table, or are you robbing me because you need to buy a fed ticket? It's so illogical, the thinking. If you are in a space where you are being robbed, would you not react? Would you not try to fend for yourself? If me and Lisha, we go to a restaurant and we're having a meal and both of us are robbed, and a bandit is putting a gun to her head and I have a gun in my pocket, you don't think I will shoot to protect Lisha's life? Isn't that common sense?
Well, to be quite honest, knowing Lisha,
she might shoot to protect me. No problem. Point taken.
Don't play with Lisha, you know.
Remember, we are like, and there are 200 people with us still, huh?
Yeah. And, you know, I want to touch on another point where a lot of persons are saying that, you know, the UNC is campaigning on national issues, but we are so uninformed when it comes to what local government is and what central government is. To create a gated community, it has to go through a municipal corporation, whether it be the borough, the city corporation, or the regional corporation. These things have to be passed at that level. So this is not a national central government issue. This is where it has to start. And our political leader, I mean, she came from that system, so she understands politics, she understands the role of government. And I just want to put it out there that everyone who's saying that these are national issues, while it is national issues that are affecting all of us, these are things that is to be fixed at a local government level. To get approval for a gated community, you have to make an application to a regional corporation. They have to have that approved. They have to do the regular due diligence in terms of the gate setup, who's going to take care of the maintenance, the roads, the garbage, and so forth. These are all local government issues. So this is exactly what has to be spoken about for this campaign. Another thing my partner 𝗲𝗓 here spoke about was municipal police. So again, the municipal police falls under local government. Do you know that the municipal police have more power than the regular police? Because apart from being market police, municipal police could come to you and move you from a space, a shop, and so forth. The regular police cannot do that. They don't have the powers to do that. The municipal police has so much more power in terms of regulating our community, not just with crime, but just some of these lawlessness that we operate with in this country. You need the municipal police to get these things going. I know we spoke about in 2023, we're talking about water, we're talking about roads, and it's so sad because you know what, even if we don't have it locally, you have it abroad. I cannot stress enough the amount of water that we have in P&L when it floods. Yet, begging, pleading, I will go down on my knees. Could you people just build some testicular fortitude and come together to deal with the situation? We have land. We have state land. It's not owned by no one. Your government don't have to buy it from nobody. We have the water. Because it floods, we are a drainage basin. All the water that's coming down from Aruga, Princestown, Rock Road, everywhere drains down to the Penal region before it gets to the creek, before it gets to woodland. You have land, you have the water, you have the space. Why are we not talking retention ponds? Why in this day that I have to be saying, guess what? Ministry of Works, LSA, just grow some balls and just do what you have to do. Because jurisdiction is an excuse that we use in this country time and time again, because this falls under you, that falls under me, and the other one falls on that fella that we ain't talking to, so we just not doing nothing. Maybe the most important ministry that we need to have in a government is the Ministry of Integration, because we have no integration when it comes to planning in this country. Simple things. You telling me that that our one reservoir that we have that's supplying the whole nation, because guess what, people from Penal get water from Navet and carrying the treatment, because apparently South do have water. So we have to wait for the water to come by a snail mail from wherever, Kwaito, to come down here to be a trickle on our pipes. But it all boils down to we don't have the fortitude, because we allow everyone else to make an excuse, and simple things that can happen, we don't allow it to happen.
You know, Ks'Raj, I'm hearing the frustration but passion in your voice as well, and I really do feel it for you all on the Southlands. When it rains and when it floods, you all get affected so badly, and it's really unfortunate that our state agencies and our ministries, they really don't care about anyone south of the Caroni.
And so this is it. I mean, the amount of money we spend on flood relief, and then the minister will jump up and say, well, I released naturally 5 million for this and do that. I've been begging for months. It will probably take you, even if it takes you $50,000 to repair a small section of a riverbank, it would have saved us millions. But we refuse to do it. We like the fact that people get flooded, and then we jump in with PR to say we're doing something. Of course, this money will never be seen by these persons. But I'm talking about these same rivers. We can create these ponds. We can create tourism out of it. Just imagine you building these ponds for retention purposes, a retention dam, and you have a boardwalk on it. You allow kayaking, you allow fishing. These same infrastructure projects could now bring back money for our country, but we don't have the foresight, and if we have the foresight, we don't have the testicular fortitude to make it happen. And I think 𝗲𝗓 was saying that we don't focus anything on R&D in this country. There's no planning. Ministry of Planning, I don't know what they're planning for, and the integration of our government system is what's failing us.
You know, I the ministry. Shanda, you remember when we did in Palmas and somebody said in one of the debates, the Minister of Planning still planning or only planning. And it's, we could even say something here, but you know, I also noticed with some of these ministers, especially when they discuss relief programs, even during COVID and social development, is demoralizing and insulting the way they speak to us, as though you're doing us a favor. That is like you operating, and that is your money, and you're doing us a favor, and we need to be thank you, shut we mouth, and you know, just take what we get. This is
lucky you get a pittance.
We're lucky, but like we get through.
If we get too much, they call us greedy.
Yeah, you're greedy. But so it's interesting and insulting and demoralizing the way they speak to us. Number one, let's just start there. Number two, you should never boast about secondary road program and flooding relief and how much hamper you give out. That is nothing to boast about. That is your litmus test to tell us how great you are performing as a government. So that is nothing to boast about. And I hope the government, I don't know if they look at this, if somebody, whoever listening, go and troll us. Go and tell them how we say this now, please.
Okay, let me interject this. Right, it is 8:59, 9 o'clock actually, right? So time really has flown. And I know Ks'Raj started saying we'll talk until 10, but I don't intend to keep you guys here until 10 because we have a campaign to run, right? So I want to tell the audience that now is the time for any questions that you may have. If anyone would like to make a contribution, please raise your hands because we are getting into the Q&A and open mic segment, right? So maybe we continue.
While wait for the questions, I just have one burning thing I want to ask 𝗲𝗓, and I think it would be remiss of me if I don't bring it up. Some time ago last week, I had the pleasure of walking with 𝗲𝗓, and I noticed that apart from the cards that the party also gave him, he did something like a manifesto of his plans for Arima Northeast. And I would really like if he could touch on some points that he has on that manifesto.
Okay, thanks, Shanta, and I appreciate appreciate all you like that. Well, that was an innovative process, and I actually did it while I was campaigning on my walkabout earlier on. But Comrade, you was talking about R&D. Do you know what is our R&D as a percent of GDP? Well, it's 0.04% of GDP. So that is just a fact, right? So
Yes,
literally we don't
none.
spend no money. Yeah,
Nothing.
so really 400 of 1% as a percent of GDP. So we don't spend money on R&D. So that is why that fact is correct. Now, Shanta, when it comes to the small manifesto, the idea is that I looked at when I walk around, I saw people. One problem I had was when I speak to young people who came out of school at 𝗧𝗒𝗒 and think they couldn't hold a conversation, and that was hurting me because you cannot come out of school writing 𝗧𝗒𝗒 and you cannot speak properly. And one of my things I said is that I will partner the UNC, we will partner with the youth development programs in the 𝗟𝗏𝗏 Northeast to academic advising to ensure students what is expected of them as productive citizens. Because I think we lost our way with respect to manners, good morning, good evening, what is required of you as a citizen, how do we do role play to resolve conflict? Because I and you, Shanta, when we grow up, we had chores to do. So I think the students in themselves, they are not trained to understand what is required of you when you finish school. And they don't think that I have what is a productive citizen. So that is one. Again, well, sports and culture does be everybody cup of tea. That is important because sports and culture reduces health. It increases students after sports, football, cricket. When I say sports, only football, I talk about draft, chess, netball. I want to do all those things. Again, as a UNC counselor, I want to boost economic activity, right, with subsidized rental spots for young entrepreneurs, right? And another thing I found in the walkabout, people said that employers don't want to hire some of the young people, again, because of the behavior, how they think. But what I want to work with the employers in the private sector to provide employment for young businesses on short-term contracts to boost a healthier work ethic culture amongst young people. That is important because they complain about young people. When they come to work, they don't do no work. So I want to partner with them like a 6 months contract and say, look, I'm working for 6 months, but in that 6 months contract, I want you to, when I renew it and you do well, you must go back to school and start at least 1 O-levels or 2, whatever the case may be, because we have to get them off the street, right? I want to restart adult classes, again, with the UNC as a UNC counselor. I want to restart adult classes and homework by utilizing surrounding primary and secondary schools in 𝗟𝗏𝗏 Northeast. Now, if you know in 𝗟𝗏𝗏, like any part of Trinidad, when school is done on a Friday, Shanta, lights is on in these schools for till Sunday. They don't take down the lights. Now, in 𝗟𝗏𝗏 now, under the PNM government now, they have you build a community center, but the community can't use it, and the community can't pay if they have to use it. So we're really building a community center. That is our PNM money-making machine.
A business.
That is our business. And I think, Comrade, you get the same problem. Anyway, they build these community centers, they are closed to the public.
Yeah.
And we need to move away from this community center model because it is too small for people needs and service. Because, all right, for example, in this homework center, all right, so if I come in on a Friday afternoon or Saturday, at Chester produce 2 classrooms, Comrade and Shanta, and they can come every Saturday and have a club, draft, football, volleyball, homework classes, adult classes. Don't waste the current in the night till Sunday. And the infrastructure, there's nothing new you have to put out economically to get the infrastructure there. The schools are there. If the lights on, let the people use the school and just marshal the school and have people on schedules. Because we need to bring back all those things like draft and stuff, losing those things, right, to the community. That is another point I wanted to make. And then to improve innovation among young people, I intend to partner with the UNC. I want to partner with the UNC and the bodies of 𝗟𝗏𝗏 to do science invention competitions. Comrade, 𝗟ci, Chris, do you know what our science center is?
Science center could be somewhere up.
It is on the highway, right?
Also the sign on the highway, yes.
right, Comrade. So nobody even know, what I mean. And how do you drive to be our economy to be forward? They can't be talking third world and first world and want to talk about LG and Samsung and work at these companies, and you don't have science. If you want to be competitive, you must increase your science. And that will also be, I want maths competitions in schools. When you last see a maths competition, Kámarádz, in Trinidad?
I remember doing mental maths competition when I was in school, and children nowadays even know what that is.
So, I mean, I really want to bring back those things because I don't know why. I know those conversations wouldn't get, because if you start to talk about line party fed, everybody there, count everybody there. But we have to focus more on models to make us be innovative rather than socialization models. And the socialization models we have created has also fed by party politics. And that is why we have plenty. When you walk in, I want something. I want a house. What you have for me? I want a hamper. That is all we know, right? And on that point, so that's a foster problem solving skills. And I want to partner with all these supermarkets in Arima to build a food bank. Because what I see is the hamper model. What I do in the food bank, I will give you for 6 months. But if in 6 months I want to reevaluate you, and if you do not get that job, I will stop giving you a food, not a food hamper, but food bank like groceries. So I don't want to get people on this dependency, because once they know you're giving them, they will always come. So we need to have those food banks. I want to do in Arima, right? And another thing I want to do, I want to UWI, again, university, something called 𝗔𝗒𝗒 model of innovation. Singapore does it. What they do, they partner with private, government, and university on national issues, national development, and they work together to get resources done. For example, they work on bridges, schools, and all those things. And they work, so research is done in university. The government plays the facilitating role, and the private sector fund. And that is how we get the best. So that is how we get roads using plastic as recyclable material and things. But that final year students, what we have in our universities today is more certified rather than educated. What we do, they write exams, and they're more theoretical and it's not applied. So I am suggesting the city bridges and thinking like all along in DB, in Arima, these small business communities, let the UWI students in year 3 do that as their final year project with a stipend. Because you're in UWI.
That's an excellent suggestion.
You're in UWI, you come out of postgrad, we work in groups, let us fix our bridge. We will pay you the money, work with the Ministry of Works. Let us see that all the work you're working and you can't get work because you have a degree, put your degree to work now. Let me see what you could do. We cannot be graduated with taxpayers' money and they can give back to the society. Okay, so that is why I wanted the infrastructure, such as roads and bridge rehabilitation. We need to do those things. And finally, I want to use plastic recycling. Most countries now using plastic bottle recycling to pave roads. Now, we don't have to pave our main roads, but our community might be like a Arima Northeast. I want to partner with 𝗚𝗨 and them to say, big man, we want to take plastic out and let us recycle, mash it up, and create pave road with recycled plastic bottles. It is done in India, all our part of the world. I don't know why it can't be done in Trinidad.
There's a contractor came to 𝗓𝗨𝗘𝗦𝗓𝗏 Corporation and did a demo with us. We have that.
Right. So you see, right. So I ain't talking shoppiness. Right. So that is what. So Shanta, that is some of what I want to do, and thanks for giving me to share it. And any questions, the audience could ask me any questions now.
Well, guys, time check again. So it's 9:09. I do have a question for Kámarádz too. A common complaint of councillors is that they're starved for funds to properly service the needs of their burgesses. Have you experienced that, and how did you treat with it? And I want to tie it into another question that came from someone on the chat. How would you change the system for a better system of delivery of goods and services?
Yeah, actually, I'm glad that you brought it up, because I saw the question by Dr. Philip and I wanted to address it in a little. So first of all, yes, funding is a major problem. 𝗲𝚘𝗒 spoke of something there, and 𝗲𝚘𝗒, you're talking in an ideal world. And when I say ideal world, you're talking about allowing the lights to remain on at community centers. We have no functional community centers in 𝗓𝗨𝗘𝗦𝗓𝗏 region. Zero. Not even one. Zero community centers that can operate at this point in time in 𝗓𝗨𝗘𝗏. We have begged, we have pleaded, we have written letters, nothing from the Ministry of Community Development to say that they're willing to even lift a finger to help us with the community centers. And of course, that doesn't fall out of agreement, we have no budget for that. We already starved for funding, so we have no functional community centers in Penal Living. Getting back to the question that Alicia would have asked. So before this session, I had a small, I didn't do much of a walkabout today, but I went in to visit some projects that I had, you know, just trying to see to the end. I went to a street here called 𝗬𝗏𝗘𝗦𝗃. It's one of those communities, you know, general, same thing, flooding and all of that. So I proposed a paving project because the road is horrible. It doesn't even have road in parts of it. And you know what I have to do? This road is so bad that I have to figure out of the, I would say about 900 meters is the length of the road. I have to figure out between this 900 meters, all of which is riddled with potholes and it's just gravel and pieces of asphalt here and there. I need to figure out which part in that 900 meters I have the allocation of 100 meters of roadway to put on it. And everybody in that community wants a little piece in front there, or a little piece by this hole or that hole. So it's so bad that you have a road that is so deplorable, but all I'm given is 100 meters of roadway to be paved. So you have to select which part of the pothole that you think is the worst to put it there. But as soon as that pothole fixes and you drive over that 100 meters, you're going to continue with the pothole journey down the road. And that's how bad the funding is. Dr. Philip made a very important point about the 10 pillars of what the local government reform tends to bring. Generally, it has the what we call the main committees of local government. It has those, and as he rightly said, social services, school maintenance, food production, and so forth would be added to that mix. We don't have funding right now to deal with what we already have. And while the government is speaking about reform and they're speaking about property tax, how much money do they actually plan on getting from this property tax? And then it's not that the local government body is going to get all. We are only going to get a percentage from the residential tax. The commercial part of the tax goes back to central government. So it's actually a decrease in the amount of funding that is catered for local government. We are already suffering when it comes to the needs to what the output is. And I would tell you straight out, we have over 1,100 issues that would have come in within the last council term, which would have been 42 months, that has to be addressed. These are 1,100 concerns, whether it be a drain, a box drain, a crossing, whatever it may be, a patching, a road hole, whatever it is. These are 1,100 issues that we have no funding for. The last budget didn't give funding for it, and the upcoming budget may probably address, let's say, 10, maybe 20 of those. 1,100. And then, of course, these continue as the days and the months go by. So when the government says, okay, fine, local government reform, and we want to give the councillors a little bit more autonomy and you want to give them a little bit more say, are you giving us more money? Or are you just giving us more responsibility to do the impossible with the impossible? So you're setting up local government reform to fail on the onset. So you are selling this as a price package, you know. The councillor, the SCA fix a hole because I have to wait for central government to give approval and all of that. Okay, fine. Yes, I agree that the system, the bureaucratic system that we operate in is not functional. But are you giving us resources to make it happen? And the answer is simply no, because you're not giving us the resources to do what we have to do now, but you want to add more to our plate with what? A mama guy of some kind of funding. We at the Penal Living Corporation got $1 million in the financial year 2022-2023 for road material. That's $1 million to buy oil sand, whether it be yellow crush or blue metal, and oil to patch road. $1 million. That's how much the allocation is. $1 million. We have 10 districts. We have over 900 roads in Penal Living, and you gave us $1 million. I'm not sure if anybody here knows a contractor as a contractor friend who could tell you what is the cost to pave even a little piece of a road. That 100 meters of road that I have as a project, that's costing us over $300,000 to do. $1 million you've given over 90,000 people in 𝗓𝗏𝗡𝗑. And yet you want to now come and say, okay, we're going to give you the power to deal with social services, to do with school maintenance. That school maintenance simply means more garbage collection. Because the corporation, while we assist with schools, the ministry adds a layer to that and help us. So now you want to give us more responsibility, more work, but where are we getting the funding to do it? And that's why, while the UNC has always said, we are not against reform, but the incarnation of what the PNM is proposing is just simply not practical. We are not saying that the system is perfect. We are not saying that we don't have changes to do. In fact, the UNC government was the only one who started to do actual changes to the local government municipal act. But the PNM is now touting, okay, reform, reform, reform. But what are they sharing? They're sharing 10 pillars and they're sharing the ideal situation, and this could happen and that could happen. But what happens there? What happens behind the back when all other systems are falling apart? You want to hire more people to be a part of this council. You want to have the executive council, and you want to have these 10 leaders, the different departments and so forth. So that's more salaries. And then you know what they're saying on top of that too? These workers who are generally paid higher through service commission and paid directly from central government, they are going to be paid by the corporation now. So you're taking the little bit that you gave us and now saying, here what? You have to pay your workers too on top of that. So is this reform, or is this a formula for severe failure? And I mean, it's the common man on the street may not accept it, they may not understand it, but that's exactly what they're selling to the public. They are selling that to the public and saying, here what this is what it is, but they are not selling the actual truth.
You know, this is the 9th episode of Local Governments, and I sat here for a number, not all 9. And I want Shanta, I don't know if some of you all know this, but Shanta actually studied political science. So when we get into conversations about political campaigns and stuff, I always love to hear her view on something. And I just observed this and I wrote it down in the discussion that our conversation, or the PNM's campaign, is about local government reform. We're going to fix the whole system. And it's interesting that a couple years ago, their THA campaign was the autonomy bill, the Tobago bill, that we're going to fix the what we understand to be Tobago and the organs and the systems. And they had this whole, you know, PR fanfare thing in Parliament where they had the consultations and we did all of this and we did all of that, and they got 14, 15, right? Well, 14, 15, they got one seat. And similarly here in this campaign, a few years later, we're having a conversation about, well, reform the whole system and fix. Sean, I have a question. What do you think about that campaign? If you utilize it, try to use that packaging of you're going to fix the system, and you're lost overwhelmingly, a wipe out in Tobago. And then you come here and you try to mimic that kind of plan. What you foresee happening?
You ask it answers. And for as long as I know myself, I'm always hearing about local government reform. Since Hazel Manning was there, we hearing this reform coming, but it has never come on anything of substance. And I think the PNM, they are trying to be a fairy godmother and wave a wand and feel that this reform and this nice talk will fix all the problems of, you know, so many years. And it's just a gimmick. It's a gimmick to fool persons, and you know, it's not anything of substance, because even when I look at the reform, it's very, very vague. You just hear reform, but you can't understand what really it entails.
Yeah,
that's my point.
And that's why earlier on when we discussed weak, that's a weak plan. I mean, if you're lost using a strategy like that, you're going to fix the overall system, and now it comes to say, in Trinidad, well, we're fixing the system too. I mean, is it going to be
the system of
what insanity is?
For 50 years? So you're trying to fix a system that has mostly been PNM. The irony of it.
All right, guys, I know we are all having a lot of fun, but it is 9:20. So I would like to maybe just ask one final question to both our panelists and then give them the opportunity to make closing remarks and then we close off, right? So final question, and maybe we could start with 𝗲𝗓. Why do you think you are the best candidate for your district?
Okay, well, given the fact that my experience has been on the ground with respect to working with people, and I work with my burgesses, and I saw the despair, the loss in their eyes, or what they go through, and I see lack of representation they have seen for years under PNM, on our PNM administration, and the skill set I bring, my knowledge, my ideas, my financial experience. I think if I leverage those skills, I can give good representation to my burgesses. All right, and I think that if you really give me the chance, I saw with the plans I will partner here with the UNC back in, I could make change and improve the lives of minorities. In fact, you know, in most countries they have these economies where the best cities like Los Angeles, and they are ranked based on in cities and things. Alicia, I want to make Arima Northeast the best electoral district in Arima. That is my goal. And by extension, I want Arima to be the best chartered borough, because Arima was the greatest chartered borough in Arima. We had sports, cycling, everything you can talk about, great scholars, everything came from Arima. Arima was the best, where everybody came to Arima to do everything. And our goal, and my goal, is to help bring back the Arima, the glory it had before, to be one of the best chartered borough in Trinidad and Tobago. And I think I want to stop there. I think that is what my goal is, Lisha. So I want to give Ken the chance, because that is it. Because Arima, we have to wrest it from the PNM. That is the first fight. And I think give me the chance, I will wrest it from them. Don't worry. Okay? Off to you, Kimraj.
Yeah, thanks so much for that, 𝗲𝗓. You know what? Once you have that will, whether no matter what happens, I think you always come across where the betterment of the people is going to be a joy. And I mean, I'm sure that you're going to make a big change in Arima. I really hope the residents of Arima, you know, follow into that. Listen to what you can get. You know, I just want to touch on something that I saw in the chat. Dr. Philip would have a challenge in terms of the other 800. Well, it's not even 800 feet. Dr. Philip is 800 meters because the road is 900 meters long. That road was actually, there were two contractors who came around and they helped us with some materials, some wet sand and some yellow crush to help the situation. But of course, because the road floods, the yellow crush turns to mud and then it just ends up with the craters on the road. So yes, that has been done, but it doesn't hold out because you need a good foundation, and it's difficult to get these contractors who are already suffering to help us to do that. And I think Andrea answered it so rightly. I told some of the residents, I'm going to get a new street sign and rename this street Arapita Avenue. And then I'm going the street on the opposite side, I'm going to name it St. James, because those are the streets that get attention. I work for the Spain as well. And do you know this is the third time they resheeted parts of the Brian Lara promenade, that roundabout there. So if I rename these streets, they might you know, get some interest in terms of giving us some funding to get it done, because the geographical discrimination that we face in South, it's so very obvious now, and the government really has, they just don't care. They just simply don't care. And I want to push this narrative as I would have started it some time ago. I'm from 𝗂𝗏𝗓𝗓, and I want to say publicly that we don't live in a flood-prone area. We live in a government-neglected area. Because when the government of the 2010 to 2015 era did not neglect us, we didn't have flooding. So I want to get it out there, spread the message. We live in a government-neglected area, and that's why we suffer this much. In the closing comments that I get, I heard a story. You know, we all in TikTok and all of these things. I heard a story, and I will quickly want to share it with you all. it started off with a politician died. He went up to the pearly gates, and I think it was St. Peter was there waiting to welcome him. And he said, when he came up, he said, you're a politician. And he said, yes. He said, well, as a politician, you get the option of living one day in heaven and one day in hell, and then you get to choose. He said, well, I could choose one time. I want to go to heaven. He said, that's fine, but I will give you the opportunity to choose. So the first day he went to heaven, and he saw some angels, he saw some nice park, he sat down. It was nice, it was quiet, you know, he enjoyed himself there to an extent. And the next day he woke up and St. Peter said, well, you have to go to hell today. He went to hell, he woke up in a 5-star hotel. The place was fantastic. When he got up, they served him breakfast. He ate all his meals by the pool. He got a golf all for the day. He really enjoyed it. He saw the devil. The devil was wearing a tuxedo, sipping on a margarita, and he really enjoyed himself there. So the next morning, he woke up and he was by the gate again. And St. Peter said, well, you have to make a choice today. He said, I never thought I'd say this, but hell is where I want to go. So he said, no problem, you know, enjoy yourself. He went down to hell, and then he saw it was a barren land, and he heard people screaming and suffering. And then he saw Satan again in his tux and his margarita. He said, yesterday I had a 5-star hotel here and I was playing golf. What happened? And the devil turned around and he told them, well, yesterday I was campaigning. Today you made a choice.
Good one. And great way to end off the program. So guys, I really don't want to keep you all too long because I know you're into the campaign and it's going to take a lot of, that takes a lot out of you, right? Shanta, maybe we could start with any final remarks you might have.
I will be brief as possible. This show tonight was really, really excellent. I know every week I come and I say, you know, I like this episode. It's my favorite episode, but I think seeing the diversities of the area, the candidates and whatnot, it was truly an informative, and we got to get on one-on-one with you guys, and we could hear the passion, and I mean, it was such a knowledgeable experience as well with you, 𝗲𝗓, and all these. I know you're stats man, so you come with your stats, and 𝗓𝗏𝗔, your passion for your community, I must commend you guys. Thank you for joining us, and all the best to you, gentlemen, on your campaign trail.
Thank you, Shanta. Thank you for your warm, nice comments. I really appreciate the comments and the support from you three. And I want to thank you guys for inviting me.
I think 𝗲𝗓 froze there. Was it just, yeah? Yeah,
I think he froze because actually his photo went up as well. Well, let me take the opportunity to jump in and, you know, thank you all for having us. Both of us, 𝗲𝗓 and I, and thank you to the Compass team for doing all that you all do. The work, trust me, it's something that's needed and something that's appreciated. So thank you.
Well, thanks a lot, 𝗓𝗏𝗧𝗏, future councillor, present and future councillor for DB South. Right. So before I pass you all over to the PRO to officially close off, I just want to thank on behalf of the Compass Foundation, everybody that is here tuned in. We still have well over 200 people who are live with us. At one point we had 300. So we had a very wide audience. Mr. Kimraj Sicharan, UNC local government election candidate for DB South. Your winning candidate, come August 15, Kimraj is going to return as councillor for the district of DB South, and also a newcomer, but as you could see, somebody who is very capable and who deserves a chance to be the councillor for Arima Northeast, 𝗲𝗓𝗒, your UNC local government election candidate for Arima Northeast. I'm sorry he fell off the radar, but it was such a great conversation. I want to thank the both of you all for the open, honest, informative conversation. I mean, we learned so much. I really like the contributions you all made with respect to how we can attract the young voters, hearing some of your innovative and futuristic suggestions for improving the communities. I liked how you explained the secure TNT policies. I want to congratulate both of you all again as being selected as candidates, and also for running very successful, invigorating campaigns. I have been looking online and observing what's going on. You know, I tell everybody I'm one of the biggest macos there is on social media. So I have been keeping up with you all online, looking at the Facebook profiles, seeing what's going on. So congratulations to both of you all, and in fact, most of the local government election candidates for running some very invigorating, energetic campaigns. It's really exciting, and it really does feel like a general election. It's a lot of pumping going on, a lot of adrenaline. So I want to wish you all the best. I mean, 𝗓𝗏𝗔𝗓, 𝗏𝗔, all of the local government election candidates that we have. The big day is on Monday, August the 14th. And well, the only thing I have left to say is bring it home for the rising sun. Bring it home. Right, to all the viewers who have joined us, as I said, it was a huge audience here tonight. Many are still with us. Thank you. The chats were very active. I want to thank you all for your interest. I want to thank you all for the questions, the comments. Dr. Augustus Philip always has some very insightful things to share with us. So thanks so much. August the 14th, put your X by the rising sun. Help us to secure TNT. Chris, you can close off. Yeah.
You know, I think that would have been a great closing. But I also want to join in thanking, apart from the panelists, but I want to thank Mr. William 𝗟𝗏𝗧𝗏, of course, for assisting us in live streaming and having our engagement and audience be wider. I want to apologize for our flyer. We would have advertised Miss 𝗚ci𝘃'𝗁𝗏 to be on tonight, and as you know, we are in an election season. It's meetings after work, and something came up and she could not be here. But I tell you that perhaps maybe the next time we have on, we would not have her as a candidate, perhaps maybe counselor. So keep tuning in. This would have been the 29th episode of Critical Conversations with the Campus Foundation, of course, the local government installment. And well, we look forward to discussing perhaps maybe local government election next week as well, 𝗟𝗏𝗃, and Shanta, because we will be the 15th and we will be coming straight off of the election. That would be the 30th episode. So thank you for joining us as usual, and take care. Good night.
Good night, everyone, and tune in next week, Tuesday at 8 p.m. for another episode of Critical Conversations with the Campus Foundation.